Well, on one side you have calm, science, rational, and on the other side you have sort of crazy, conspiracy, unnuanced, confronts, destroys. Well, of course crazy outperforms the calm, and so what happens? You tilt all of society in one direction. And so when you read about Facebook hiring, 1,000+ people to moderate the content, the image you should have in your head is, it's as if they've already tilted the world, it's a giant hill, and there are these boulders rolling down, and polarization and outrage and conspiracy, and they're hiring people to try to pull back the boulders, but of course there's just be more boulders coming all the time. It's the way to fix the problem is just tilt the thing back again. I think it's important, especially for the entrepreneurs here, to know that whenever you code at scale, it's inherently a political act. All right, so summary. Synthetic social systems plus artificial intelligence or recommendation systems times the extractive attention economy, you're always going to end up in downgrading humans. So to return to this, that point up there, when technology overwhelms human strengths and takes control forever, singularity. But there's a point much earlier when technology overwhelms enough of our limits that we lose control forever. And that's the point we should care about, because that second singularity, that's actually the second singularity. This one will happen first. I've already showed that we've crossed the point in the bottom left. So how close are we to this human limit singularity? Well, here's a question. How many people in here think or have had an experience where, Facebook must be listening to me on my microphone in my conversation because it'll show me an ad or a product that's just way too specific, right? So how many people, actually, I'm curious, look around. This to me is fascinating because the forensic analysis shows that Facebook is not listening. And to me, the truth is much creepier, and that is they're able to make predictions that good. So in the back of your mind, here's how to think about it. This actually looks like matrix multiplication, but there's a little data voodoo doll of you on Google servers, on YouTube servers. And it starts out as a sort of generic model, doesn't look like you, and they're collecting all the metadata, all that stuff we don't think we really care about, like your click streams and your toenail clippings and your, like who you talk to and when, and like how you move your mouse around the screen. And this voodoo doll becomes more and more and more like you. Until, when you show up on YouTube, the reason why you think you're just gonna watch one video but then you're there for over an hour is because you're playing chess against a super model, or a supercomputer model of you. It's an asymmetric power. And of course, I don't know how many people have seen this yet, but the deepfakes, this is now like an old video from 2018. These are all hallucinated, dreamed people. None of these people are real. It's not morphing between faces. These are all photorealistic, generated by an AI. And here's the thing to think about. In another, let's say, year, imagine getting a text. And the text is from somebody that you met at a conference. They say, it's an unknown number, but it's a picture of you and them. And the text says like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, we had a great conversation, and I was going through my phone, I found this photo of us, and so I sent it to you. You're like, I don't really remember you, but the person's pretty cute and definitely looks very familiar, so you start up a conversation, you go back and forth, he has to send some selfies. It's really just an automated hack, right? Because if I want to generate a face of a person you can't help but trust, it's really easy. I just take your top 10 friends on Facebook, which are publicly available, and I generate a new face, which is sort of the average of their features. So it's not, the average of your friends, it's a new face with the average. You have now 10 years, however long you've been friends with your friends, being exploited. And then you just had a couple people you liked on Instagram, and now you have a never-ending set of faces you find both cute and really familiar. What happens, identity and memory, or memory is the foundation of identity. What happens when trust in memory and identity for an entire society disappears at once. Here's another thing that happened actually this year, April. Researchers at Harvard stuck these probes into a macaque monkey's visual cortex, trying the monkey to face a screen, and they had an AI generate image after image after image until they could maximally stimulate those neurons. And what emerged were these kinds of images. And up in the middle there, you can actually see the researchers, which wear blue caps and white masks. You can see the faces of other monkeys that the researchers were actually able to say, oh yeah, that's Anthony. This is the first time we as human beings have learned how to create a camera of the mind, to be able to involuntarily extract memory from matter. Just think about the ways this is going to be abused. Mary Lou Jepson, by the way, in 2018 demonstrated on TED a new kind of technology, sort of like fMRI, except it fits in a baseball cap. It's 1 billion times higher resolution, 1,000 times cheaper, and not only can it read from neurons, it can write to them. So this, to me, if we're not careful, is a kind of checkmate humanity with the kinds of power we have. This is about fundamentally asymmetric information and knowledge about us getting applied to us. So what should we do? I know, we should make our screens go grayscale. Which is sort of like saying, you know, our house is burning, let's ban plastic straws. So, should we train people in ethics? This is the time warning. Should we train people in ethics? It's important, but not enough. Click on the blockchain. Okay, how about pay us for our data? I mean, that's great, but again, it doesn't solve the problem. Protect our data. It doesn't solve the problem. The amount of prediction you can make about us is so overwhelming just using like the way you move your mouse around. You're uniquely identifiable, it turns out, just the way you move your head in a VR headset with 1 second of data. Should we wait for more research? I just wanted to use this slide. No. We need a new kind of human protective design, right? One which looks at us as human beings as the complex, fantastical creatures that we are, and takes an honest look. We need to move from attention metrics to intention metrics. I have one more major idea. Is that all right? 30 seconds. What do you guys think?
Yeah!
Producer Matthias said he's loving your talk.
Okay.
So and he said just now he really does. That's why we gave you an extra 4 minutes. Unfortunately, it's not a democracy. So while I love them, they don't get to choose. Because our next guy is also great. So 30 seconds, one major idea, let's go. I'm going to sit and listen to figure it out. Give it to us.
All right. So there are 2 kinds of relationships in law. I think this is key. There's a relationship between equals. And that's like, you know, NDAs and leases. And then there's a relationship between groups where one party has an asymmetric power over the other. So this is like a doctor. Like with a doctor, you have to tell them your weaknesses, and then, I mean, with that, they help you, but they could exploit you. With a therapist, you have to tell them your weaknesses. And there's a reason why therapists are not allowed to sleep with or date their clients, because they could clearly exploit and manipulate sexually their client. Doctors are this way, therapists, priests in confessionals, stockbrokers. These are called fiduciary relationships. Fiduciary from the Latin for trust. And here's the thing, Facebook and Google, technology companies, know strictly more about us now than our lawyers, our therapists, our doctors combined. And that means while they've been masquerading as a kind of equal relationships, which is why we're like clicking through those ULIS and GDPR things that you just like, you click through it, it's because they're saying that they're an equal relationship, but it's really an asymmetric relationship, and they have to act in our best interest. Otherwise, it can be sued, there's recourse. And that's the fundamental switch we need to make, because over time, Technology is becoming more and more and more powerful. And this is the only thing that can future-proof it so that technology is actually acting in our best interest.
Amazing. Thank you so